I'm Tod Hynes. I'm a senior lecturer at MIT, and I'm a senior advisor for climate and energy at the Martin Trust Center for MIT Entrepreneurship. I teach a class called Climate and Energy Ventures. I've been teaching it since 2008, and the class brings together a mix of engineering, business, science, and policy students to form teams around new technologies to learn how to start companies. It's typically students in the last year of their program. And we've had, over the last 17 or 18 years, about around 60 companies that have come out of the class, and alums have gone on to start another around 100 companies. So it's been a really great way of getting technology out of the lab and into the market. We've built up a great network of alums around the world, about 650, something in that range right now. And they're all very supportive of the course, continue to help as mentors, as connections for existing teams. And so we've really built up this great community of energy and climate innovators. When we're preparing for the class, we have a pretty thorough recruitment process, and we typically assess about 150 students for 50 spots. So we're able to get the right mix of backgrounds, a very broad set of expertise. And at the same time, we're also looking for different technologies and ideas. And so we do that by going directly to the labs at MIT. The students will bring their own ideas. And then we run a process for the first 3 weeks of the class where the students really self-select around the projects they're most interested in. And each team has to have a blend of expertise. You can't have 5 engineers on one team or 5 business students. It has to be a mix. So you really want to play off each other's strengths. The class isn't about teaching everybody how to build a financial model. You should have one person on the team who's the finance person, and they run the financial model. You have a tech person, you got a salesperson, you got a policy person. And so everybody can really build off their strengths, which is what you do in a real company. We've helped other universities start the similar courses over the years, but we went with UT Austin and actually helped them launch in 2023. And that was pretty much the old-fashioned way. The instructors traveled a lot, way too many flights that I should mention, when we're talking about sustainability, but it's an investment. And we learned a lot in that process. We learned about better documentation. It's a really big class. There's a lot of things to do on an annual basis to really run it. So we spent a lot of time learning from that and creating playbooks for the instructors, for the TAs, aggregating all the materials, and really creating a playbook and a whole set of content that we can more easily share with other universities. And going through that process actually enabled us to build some AI tools because one of the key things, if you're building a chatbot, you have to have the right content. We have plenty of content, and we incorporated that content along with the right kind of guidance to create a tool that can help other instructors at other universities and TAs as well run the class. In addition to the tools that we created for the instructors and the TAs, we are creating a whole set of tools to go directly to the students and help them go through their entrepreneurial journey a lot more quickly. The Trust Center has launched a tool called Jetpack, and that really is an AI chatbot that helps students go through the 24 steps of starting a company. And that really accelerates what used to take a whole semester. You can do in about an hour now. Not to say it's the right answer, but you can go through that process, and that should give you more time to iterate and go down a couple of different pathways that maybe you didn't have time before, because picking that initial beachhead market and that initial business model, once you start going down that path, you can go for 6 months or 6 years before you make a big pivot. And that's something that we've seen with some of the teams that have come out of the class is that, that first effort usually isn't the right one, and how do you adjust? And so ideally these tools can help teams go through that process and have some more vision. And the other big thing is, what are the additional tools on top of Jetpack that are relevant for climate and energy ventures? And a good example of that is regulation and policy. So we created a tool that helps a startup understand the regulations that are relevant to its business, or the incentives that are available to its business, or which region should they go to, which have more favorable regulations or incentives for what they're doing. And we're creating a whole set of these tools that don't only include an LLM like ChatGPT, but they can include additional external models, like a climate model, like En-ROADS. There's other models coming out of the Energy Initiative around the grid, around energy systems, which are complicated to access. But if you can access them through essentially a chat interface, it's much easier to see how it would impact your business as far as supply chain, energy systems, the climate itself. Well, how big is the opportunity? What's your climate TAM? How do you understand the potential impact of your company? We are writing a book called Climate and Energy Ventures, and it's really building off of a lot of the lessons learned from the class over the years. And we're doing interviews with dozens of CEOs, lots of alums from the class. Not everybody has come through the class. We're also engaging other energy and climate experts to really capture the lessons learned, package them in such a way that make them accessible to anyone that's trying to go through this process. So I think that book, combined with the AI tools, combined with the new refreshed content and material for the class, really creates a package that's scalable for other universities. It's definitely an academic setting, and the purpose of the class is to educate the entrepreneurs. But one of the big benefits of the class is that a lot of co-founders have met in the class, and all of the students have the opportunity of going through essentially an iteration where they're learning, they're getting advice, they're getting feedback from each other, from the instructors, from experts that we bring in to the class. And so that iteration just makes them that much better for the next iteration. We do have the Climate and Energy Prize in the spring, and a lot of teams from the class go on to the Climate and Energy Prize, where they get additional mentorship, training, deadlines, pitching. Again, it's that practice, that iteration. And then finally, when they're graduating, they can also go into Delta V, which is another program really structured like an incubator out of the Trust Center. It's a summer program. They don't take any equity. They actually give a stipend for salary, a stipend for additional milestones, mock board meetings, mentors. And so you get these, it's almost like three bites at the apple, and then ideally you're off in the real world, raising money, building a company, getting customers. And we've had some good companies that have gone through that process and have raised hundreds of millions of dollars in aggregate, well north of $1 billion. So I've been fortunate to have been involved in several climate and energy startups over the years, and it's a great honor to help share the lessons learned, the experiences, the contacts with students that are coming through the process, through the class, through MIT. It's also honestly a great place for the students to help me, because I get to learn from them, and they're sharing some of the cutting edge solutions that are out there. And so it helps me broaden my perspective, which I think makes it that much more valuable as I'm sharing my perspective with others, because it's really helpful to see what's coming. And if you're at MIT, it's like you're 5 years in the future, right? You're always seeing stuff that either seems like science fiction or just doesn't exist yet, and then sure enough, 5 years down the road, you start seeing a lot of these solutions come to fruition. Climate is a global problem. It's going to take the whole globe to really solve it. And MIT has been a leader for a long time now, but it's also a very open and accessible community if you're willing to come here, if you're willing to engage. It doesn't have to be physical as well. You can engage remotely. But for people that want to take the initiative, there's a lot of resources available. There's a lot of highly motivated people working on really interesting problems, and there's many different ways that anybody can get engaged. They just have to put the effort in to navigate that path, because it's not necessarily easy to figure out how to navigate that. So it is really helpful to have events, like this event and like the Climate and Energy Prize that are really pulling people in from outside of the community into the MIT community, where you can get to meet people, get to learn more about what's going on, and we can all help each other on this mission.